everyone. Thanks for tuning back in. This is part 2 of what to do if you suspect your child has. What's up, everybody? Sorry I'm downstairs, so if the lighting's not great, my apologies. My 3-year-old's sleeping and my wife's sleeping as well, but wanted to finish up this video on part 2 of what to do if you suspect your child has a disability. So basically in this video, there's going to be 2 ways that the suspected disability meeting that I talked about in the previous video is going to go. Either A, you're going to be filling out a ETR planning form, which I'm going to show you and do an audio recording over to kind of talk you through that, or B, the district is going to refuse to test, which at that point you need to keep stating that you still feel that Johnny has a specific learning disability in reading. Make sure that that's also documented on a prior written notice, which I will show you. I'm going to do a whole other segment or whole other video on prior written notices after this, but I want to show you the 2 options that should come after that suspected disability meeting. Alright, so stay tuned. The first one to come here is your ETR planning form. So the district's agreed to test for a suspected disability, and I will go over what that form looks like. Second one is the district is rejecting. You actually get a prior written notice if they agree or disagree. But if the district is rejecting, there's certain verbiage and things that need to be put into that prior written notice to document that you disagree with their rejection of not testing your child. Enjoy. So guys, this is your evaluation team report. I'm going to go over this very briefly, as well as a prior written notice, as I had mentioned before, just because I will be doing videos solely dedicated to this. But real quick, this is your cover sheet for an evaluation team report. So as I have highlighted here, this is all a child's information. Type of evaluation. Is it an initial evaluation? Is this the first time the child's been tested? Or is it the 3-year reevaluation? Dates. So you have the dates of your meeting, the date of the last ETR, which is the evaluation team report, referral date, and the date that the parent's consent was received. Here's your parent guardian information. And then planning form. This is important on the front of this page because you have either school age or you have preschool. School age is K through 12. Preschool is your early intervention, things of that nature. So this is the cover page, but it does go over the certain sections of an evaluation team report or ETR. So your first section are all your individual evaluators' assessments. Your second section will be your team summary. Third section is documentation for determining the existence of a specific learning disability. I'll explain that more in detail when we get into the ETR paperwork a little bit more. Part 4 is the eligibility, and Part 5 is the signatures. So that is your cover page for your ETR. As we move on, this is the planning form that doesn't want to highlight for me. Let's see. Nope. Okay. So this is your planning form. I'll highlight it by myself. For preschool. Very important right here. Preschool. Because it's very different from the school age. So again, you have the child's information. Is it an initial reevaluate, or is it an evaluation? Is it a 3-year reeval, or is it transition from Part C, which is students that are receiving early intervention even at the early ages of birth up until 2. Again, we see this suspected disability category. May check more than one. I really hope that there's at least 2 checked, just because we are trying to find out what disability category that individual student falls under, and that will service him or her best. So right here are the developmental areas required for all. So these are the things that they'll be testing. I'm not going to read all these to you. I will leave a link to these in this video. But adaptive behavior, cognition, communication, hearing, vision, sensory and motor function, um, social emotional functioning, behavioral functioning, and then physical examination, vision, and a hearing test. So down at the bottom of this form, you have the school district representative to sign and date, parent guardian, sign, date. Take 24 hours to look this over after you have this meeting and make sure that you know what they're doing to test for each section. It's the same for the school age evaluation form that I'm about to go over. Just make sure you understand it. You do not have to sign anything at a meeting. And as promised, here is the school age evaluation planning form. So what was the date of the plan? Was it an initial evaluation? Was it a reevaluation, which has to happen every 3 years? Here's the child's information. And on this one, you list the suspected disabilities instead of checking them. Again, I would hope that there's at least 2 on here so that we're being kind of subjective to, you know, there could be different disability categories that the student falls into. We want to find the one that's going to service that student the best. So again, make sure those suspected disabilities that we list are a true reflection of what your child's needs are, but also that give some wiggle room with 2 options to make sure we're selecting the right category. So this one, the school age planning form, is a little bit more intricate and there's a little bit more to watch for. So assessment areas related to the suspected disabilities. So information provided by parent. There's not going to be data for review, so this is going to be done, by the parents. Person responsible is the parents. Now we go through all of these. The general intelligence, that should be done by a school psych. Academic skills can be done by the teachers as well as the school psych. Classroom-based evaluations and progress in the general curriculum, which I think is a very important one and underused category to really see how the student is functioning against the typical peers. And this one, the intervention specialist or general education teacher can do it. Any data from interventions. Now here, I have communicative status highlighted. The reason for that is speech and language, which is speech and language therapy, which needs to be implemented in an IEP or services carried out on an IEP by a certified speech and language pathologist. So, for the testing, or the person responsible for the testing, make sure they have a speech and language pathologist listed here that's testing your son or daughter so that they get good baseline data to be able to implement a very strong service delivery model for speech and language. Same thing here with the behavior assessment that I have. I would really hope that a behavior specialist from the district or a BCBA, which is a board certified behavior analyst, is doing this behavior assessment. That's what they're trained in. And then I have assistive technology highlighted. A lot of times the occupational therapist would do this, but I would always have them do the assistive technology just to make sure that there's not an assistive technology out there that could accommodate or support your son or daughter to progress more quickly through the curriculum and close the gap. So again, school district signature and the parent guard, also the general ed teacher and the intervention specialist. So that is it for the school age evaluation planning form, preschool evaluation planning form, and just the cover page for whichever one you use, preschool or school age. So everybody, this is option B. This would be unfortunately if the school district um, ref- refuse to initiate an ETR or an evaluation team report. This is a prior written notice. I am not going to go through all of these things because the focus for this video is what to do if you suspect your child has a disability. So I do want to explain to you what the prior written notice should look like for that. But like I've said previously in this video, as well as other videos, I'm going to do a whole video on prior written notices and their importance. So as you can see here, it is Form PRO1, excuse me. You'll have the student's information, type of action taken. For this one, I have checked refusal to initiate an evaluation. So that's the first box. Second box asks you the question, a description of the action proposed or refused by the school district. This statement right here basically states the district will not initiate an evaluation team report for son or daughter's name there. The intervention team has documented progress with the interventions and supports being provided and do not suspect that he or she requires special education services to access the general education curriculum. An explanation of why the school district proposes or refuses to take the action. This is where I want to see a lot of data, and this is where I'm going to question districts on, what kind of scientifically backed, systematic approach kind of interventions have they put into place. But current data indicate that the level of performance and rate of performance is commensurate with peers. Student is making adequate progress with interventions at this point. Also, what kind of assessment tools are they using to make these justifications? Number 4 is a description of other options that the IEP team considered and the reason why those options were rejected. So basically they're saying they thought about an evaluation. However, the student intervention data did not include a need for specialized instruction. The data reflects the student is making adequate progress in the general curriculum. 5 is important too. It's a description of each evaluation procedure, assessment record, or report that the school district used as a basis for the proposed or refused action. Assessment data does not support moving ahead with an evaluation team report at this time. Provide data, because this sentence alone is not enough. I want to know what assessments, when they were given, what were the scores, what were the percentages, things like that. Other factors that are relevant, no other factors relevant at this time. What I would add to this is I would ask the district, and sorry this isn't going to line up perfectly, but oh well, to put that parents are still, or let's say, parents still suspect that Johnny will be our student, does have a specific learning disability in the area of reading. If you ask them to document it, they have to. And we will talk about resolution, how to go through resolution with the district if you need to, and these PRO1s are documentation that are so important. So those are the 6 questions, but this statement right here, I'd make sure that's on there because you are part of the IEP team as parents and you don't agree with the decision that they're making. So make sure that you have your statement on there as well. The bottom is just who's in charge of the district and who you can contact if need be. That is it for the evaluation part 2. This is if the district reviews this. This is what the prior written notice would look like.